Camp Honor podcast. Your host here, Matt
and Nick.
So we're excited. Today we're talking about big bucks.
This is the 4th episode.
Episode 4. I like big bucks.
And I cannot lie.
All you other
brothers can't deny.
We got $2 on the wall here.
There you go.
And I'm hoping that you can see this one right here.
This is quite big.
And he's a new addition.
Yeah.
And he's called
Walt's Buck.
Crab Claw.
Oh, that's what
it's got a name because one of those. There's a couple different little crabs calls out there, and so my brother-in-law Walt, big hunter, big whitetail hunter. Really, he was a whitetail guy, and he died tragically of a heart attack last year, and actually a year ago, October or November, and actually no, it was December. I'm always hunting season with Walt, but anyway. My sister, I told her, I said, man, you know what? Camp Honor, I want to honor Walt. And so it's bigger than my big buck we're going to talk about in a minute. This guy. We're going to talk about him because we're going to talk about big bucks.
All right.
But Crab Claw, I'm going to give him a name. I'm going to just call him Walt.
Yeah, Walt's Buck.
Walt.
There you go.
Walt's Buck. So episode 4.
So we're going to be talking about our very first hunt that we did with Camp Honor. Now, we've talked about in the past that there's obviously more to the hunts than just the hunt itself. A lot goes into we're learning about the hunter. We're also talking to them about their mental state, the relationships, and we build off of those. And the hunting part is actually a really, really small part of the whole experience. And so this particular hunt was our very first hunt, and it's ironic because Robert's father passed away, and that is how the first donation got to Camp Honor.
It was the first gift, and it was a pretty special moment. Robert, you can go back and look
watch the YouTube video on our YouTube channel.
So Robert is a Miami County Sheriff Deputy, 10-year Navy veteran. He was an MP dog trainer in the Navy. I think he made all the way to E6, and so pretty good little run there. And so anyway, his father was a Vietnam vet. Gosh, multiple deployments. Purple Heart recipient, shot at least twice, I think. And full-blood Italian, full-blood, Mirando. And so then he ended up marrying Robert's mom from Korea. So people see Rob and he looks Asian, but he's got this Italian last name.
Yeah.
And so, but his dad was awesome.
Yeah.
Like came to our church, and he ended up, there's a funny story about his father too, he was at Fort Campbell, and he was like, I don't want to say all the details because I'm a little fuzzy on some of them, but the bottom line was he was part of that assignment. He was accompanying, and whether he was a driver, whatever, for a general. And at the time, the general had a daughter, and the daughter was about to pick something up, and Robert's dad's like, oh, no. Like it was a snake, like whether it was a copperhead or a rattlesnake in Kentucky, and he got bit by this thing, but prevented her from being bit. And so, but he became, after that general's like, dude, you're my boy, like my boy, Mirando. And so anyway, he passed away about the time that we were discussing Camp Honor starting, and then Robert and his wife Leah said, hey, you know what? Our dad had designated some of the monies to go to special organizations, and Camp Honor is going to be one of them. And so, God thing.
Yeah.
It like really full circle on that moment for him and his father, the Robert Mirando Sr.
Yeah. And so the hunt itself, this is our very first one. We're learning what to do and everything. And I get out there with Rob, and we're in a box blind. And I won't go into all the details, but Matt had tricked him. I think Matt didn't trick him. Matt had threw him off already by telling him he's not allowed to drink the water, and so the guy's in a box blind getting all nauseous.
Oh, wait. We can back this up just a little bit. So first off, Robert is my brother-in-law. Just to throw, not to hide anything here. We're an open book. He's married to my sister, and I would classify Robert as a very stoic individual.
Yeah.
Okay, funny story about Rob. A couple years before this hunt, we vacationed together, and his emotions, he can hide them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an Asian
probably
trait, because I don't think Italians can do that. Yeah. And Robert is probably on his mother's side. He's able to hide, and we're golfing. And, I'm not a great golfer. I like to golf. And so we're there with me, Robert, and his son, Eli. And Robert's not having a very good day on the golf course. And we're in Florida on this beautiful course. I had a couple ocean holes. I mean, it's just probably the prettiest golf course I've ever golfed on. I've golfed on it twice, been blessed to. And I'm joking around. And at one point, Eli gets in my cart. And he's like, hey, dude, Dad's starting to get pissed off. And I'm like, really? I'm looking at him like, it looks normal. Like, I don't know. And so we go on another hole, and let's just say Robert's day wasn't getting any better.
No.
And we're on this hole, and all of a sudden Robert's like turns around, he's got his putter, and he's like, or one of his clubs, and it went flying and hit the cart. And I'm like, oh my God, he was bad. So anyway, Robert's a stoic kind of guy. And he's very analytical.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, he doesn't ask a lot of questions. And I'm more than happy to answer questions like you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not real good at okay, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do here. It's more like, oh, no, you don't do it that way. Do it this way. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So we're at the cabin where my property is, and I catch rainwater. Mm-hmm. It's all off grid. We bring a generator for power, and I catch rainwater that we can flush the toilet. Because my wife, she's like, I'm not going anywhere if I can't flush the toilet. I'm not going outside to do my business. And so, happy wife, happy Matt.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have bought that property without her permission. And so I'm like, babe, I'll get you a toilet that flushes, I promise. And so I had to figure it all out. And so without having power, without having water, without having a lot of things, so we got it figured out. But I guess I didn't go into a lot of detail of hey, this is rainwater. We shouldn't drink rainwater. Don't really treat it. And so back to that morning.
So he's brushing his teeth before the hunt, and Matt just says to him, hey, you haven't been drinking that, have you? And he's like, what? No, why? Of course not. And then he was like, well, okay, good, because it's rainwater. So we're out in the hunting, and he's getting, you can tell he's, oof. And so then he, steps out of the blind, gets sick, comes back, literally 15 minutes later. The sun is up. It's 8:30 in the morning. Sun is up. And we see a doe. I had sprinkled some corn right in front of us in a zigzag pattern. And a doe is coming, and he has my crossbow, and he is getting ready to shoot this doe. And I'm like, wait. There's a buck behind it. And he locks onto this buck, and he was focused. Sometimes, we talked about the last episode where I took a hunter out and you could see they were getting buck fever. Rob, no. He was, like you said, stoic. Boop. He's locked on this buck. Buck turns broadside. As soon as I told him he could shoot the buck, he shot it. Buck went down the hill. We found it later, and which leads to the biggest buck. So, this buck was a 4-pointer. I wouldn't now, because I only shoot big bucks now. But back in the day, I would have shot anything. If it's brown, it's down. This was his first buck, his first deer, his first ever large animal, and when he found it, you could visibly see a difference in him, where it was like a man holding a record elk. It was like he had this biggest smile on his face, and the stoic person in him, was completely transformed into, look at this. It was amazing to see. Yeah. So I thought, since that's the Rob Morano story, that's the very first hunt we went on. I thought now we could talk about. Do you remember your first big buck?
Oh yeah.
Okay, tell me about it.
So we got this buck up here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can.
Yeah, you can see
it. By some people's standards, not a big buck, but it was my first big buck, and so we were, by this time, our property in Muskegon County, Zanesville area, mm-hmm. It's gone.
Yeah.
You know why it's gone? Because people jack hunting properties up on each other.
Yeah, they do.
Like, because what happens is, like, when it all starts, just a small group of people.
And sometimes you'll get permission for, like, yeah, you can hunt here, and then someone else finds out you got permission to hunt there, and then they're like, hey, can I come with you? And then they bring someone with them.
And then what happens is the grass is always, you see those cows on the side of the road, mm-hmm. that got their head out the old fence, and they're just like chewing on this grass, and you're like, man, that's got to be hard on the neck, because they think the grass tastes better.
Yeah.
So they could be in a field of grass.
So you got permission to hunt this property, but don't go over here.
Don't hunt there. And then so people be like on the fence. And you got 150 acres. Mm-hmm. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And then so guess what happens? Property owners, their neighbors, they're like, hey, dude,
Billy Bob,
tell your jack wagons to stay off my property. I don't want them killing anything. I got cattle over here, and I'm afraid if they're going to hunt with their 20 gauge single shot, that they might pop one of my cows in the morning. And so anyway, and it's their right,
yeah,
to say, I don't want anything. Or, you know what, if you happen to kill deer on that, I got no problem you come and dragging it, whatever, but don't hunt. Don't just, like, there's this man code of integrity. Mm-hmm. But you get family members, and you get family friends who have kids. Mm-hmm. And anyhow, long story short, and then somebody dies, and now they trusted you, but now their kids are like, no, I watch what you guys do. So anyway, no access there. So through the years, you know, we're here in Miami County in Ohio, where the hunting opportunities are they're slim, and it's very difficult, and you can't really buy property here because it's just outrageous. And so my father, through his connections with the Juvenile Detention Center, which he was the director at the time, made friends with another director out of, like, he was actually from Zanesville, but he owned property in Caldwell, Ohio, which is in Noble County, which, mm-hmm. by the way, I'm going to look up here in a second. I'll give you the historical facts at the end of this. You ready for a little history today?
A little history.
You ever hear of Led Zeppelin?
Yeah, the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will be like, Led Zeppelin. They have no idea what a Zeppelin is. Mm-hmm. And it's like a military blimp. And so Caldwell, Ohio, which is in Noble County, that's the county seat, like us here, Troy, Ohio, county seat. Their fairgrounds, they're called the Zeppelins, or high school, because a Zeppelin was on its way from New Jersey to wherever, and it crashed right here, like in World War II era. So anyway, we're down there, and gosh, it's awesome. There's like 300 acres on the hunting side, and then he had a little cabin with 50 acres, like, that was away from the 300 acres, and you'd actually have to drive over to the 300 acres. But Walt, my brother-in-law, we're like, hey dude, let's go hunting. And by this time, now we're getting into the archery side, because Walt he did archery. Mm-hmm. And so Walt helped me cut my teeth with archery, and started out with a crossbow. Mm-hmm. Now I'm with Matthews, so we'd love to have Matthews. If you hashtag Matthews, you want to reach out to Camp Honor, yeah, I'm sure we can work something out, really. But that's what I'm shooting now. And so anyway, we're there. I think we went the day before, spent the night, and he had to leave early the next day. And he had the ATV. I didn't have an ATV. And where I was hunting, we had driven his ATV to a certain point, and then we went from there. We hooked up at lunch, or at 10, 11ish, something like that. And he's like, hey dude, I gotta go. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hunt till probably like 2 o'clock. Yeah, I'll be fine. And so sometimes when you're hunting like this, there's this side that's like you're hunting, but then there's a side that you're not going to really kill it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're just out there topping off your day.
Yeah. Like my wife would be more of a planner type and like, okay, if I kill the deer at noon, here's the it'd take me deer an hour die, like another half hour do this, hour do that. Like it's gonna be dark, Me, that's not really registering. I'm just out hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out in nature. So Walt leaves, 1:00 rolls around, and it's a beautiful day. So it was like a fall day, beautiful. And not a lot of action though, for whatever reason. Like I think we had some doe action, but I'm in the mode too of like, I'm not killing a doe, I'm killing a buck. This is a buck trip. And so I remember like it's like 1:00 and I got to wrap up. I had to work at the fire department the next day, and I'm all by myself. Like there's nobody around. And but right before, if I'm like any other hunter out there, and tell me if you're like this, like I'm packing up stuff, and as I'm packing up, every call I have, I'm using.
Yeah.
I got
like you may as well.
Yeah, I got a doe bleat, and so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be packing up. So this doe bleat, which is like a little call that like it sounds like a doe in heat, and it's like, and so I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm like, sit around like 5 minutes, put it in the bag, and then got rattled. So I'm like these antlers I heard, and all right, stick them in the bag. My last call was a grunt call, and so I'm like, and by this time I'm not even. I was in a stand kind of like you had talked about in one of our previous episodes where you like there's some down brush. We called this the penthouse because it was like all of these down trees and this kind of this fork where the cover was very good and you could put a seat in there and just kind of look out. And it's where it was a great stand. And so, but it's on the ground. And by this time I was outside of that. I'm like on a trail getting ready to head back to where I was going. And I, for whatever reason, I had it around my neck. And I was like, oh, I forgot to put my call back. Like, it's on my neck. I went, grunted like 3 times and get ready to put it away. And all of a sudden I hear a grunt. And I'm like, but then I'm like, is it like, did I really hear that? And I hear another grunt. Now, to this point, brand new archery guy, I had never experienced that. So then I'm like, is this really a deer or is there a person? Because there's
another hunter.
And all of a sudden I catch movement out of so I'm down in this, like we were in a strip mine area where a lot of people don't know strip mine, like a lot of the areas in southern Ohio where they would strip mine coal, there would be like if it's a hill, it's not just a gradual increase. It goes up, levels off, goes up, levels off. And that area is usually about 20, 30 yards wide and all the way till you get to a flat spot. I was on like probably the 3rd tier. And then there was this woods that was not strip mine, and that's where I caught movement. And I'm in this high grass. And I caught movement and I immediately just go to the ground. And I got my backpack on, all my stuff. I was away from my stand. And so I'm sitting there. Thank God I had a crossbow. I'm sitting there. And I'm watching this deer just walk towards me. Like it's kind of funneling down. And so I'm sitting there and all this happens fast.
Yeah.
Like if you're a hunter, it's like, you don't have a lot of time to think, well, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens. Like you're just sitting there. I'm sitting there and I I know to get my crossbow up at least. Because I'm like, but then there's a moment that I think it's going to walk on top of me. Like it's coming on the path that I'm on, but it doesn't see me. And so it gets literally, it couldn't have been no more than 15 yards on the path. And then I'm like, it's facing towards me, but it still doesn't see me. And at this point, I'm making a decision. Like, I got one shot here. Don't really know. Nobody's ever guided me to like I got this. You can't see it on the podcast. You can't that are listening, and if you're watching, we've got this whitetail poster up there, and it's got kind of like areas where you would shoot. Not a lot of people show you where to shoot a deer in the front, but I'm a paramedic, and I know what's on the side of my neck is the carotids. So all this is in fast motion too. I'm like, I'm just gonna shoot just right center of the throat and see what happens.
Yeah, may as well, huh?
And so, because in my mind, I'm like, I know what'll happen if I try to, like, a lot of times when we're in the woods, we do what? Like when the deer is walking,
yeah,
to stop it. We had to teach Robert that. Like, you first time he went hunting, he didn't know to do that. And it's like, oh, you can stop a deer? Yeah, for the most part. Like watching up videos, like you just and it like by this time though you better be ready to shoot. And so anyway, I know if I do this deer ain't gonna stop.
No.
Like he's gonna be like, what is that? Just made that noise, and he's gonna jump. And by the time he jumps, I'm not gonna be able to stand up and do this. It's like it sounds good in the theory, but it's not gonna happen. So I just like when he was at 15 yards, I just like, and it was so close, Nate. Like it's like the noise level was loud. Like a lot of times when you shoot a deer with archery, there's not a lot of thuds.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of through.
Yeah.
And then the deer jumps and you hear like in the fall of the leaves. This sounded like a baseball bat hitting like your truck door.
Nice.
So it's like 15 yards. I'm taking a shot and I like pull the trigger and this is a thud. It's like thud, boom, and this deer just like shoots up and blood comes out. And I just remember as he turned. So I'm this way and he's like coming at me. He turned this way, and when he turns, there's this arrow that's sticking out. And I'm like, but then there's a part of me too. It's like, oh my god, like the blood's rushing through me because it's the first buck that I've killed. Like, I think I killed some spikes, but nothing with antlers. Like this was decent 8-point, and so he turns and he runs up the hill. And I just remember seeing that arrow, and I'm like, kind of like taking a minute here because I'm like, I didn't know what to expect when I shot. I didn't know what he was going to do. Like, he's going to come and trample me. Like, what's like, I do this number, like with his paws. But anyway, so now I'm like, oh my god, like I'm just bringing it all in here. And I'm like, okay, all right, whew. And I'm like, but the good news is when I went up, like just walked a few feet, I'm like, oh my god. The blood coming from this thing looked like I shot it with a shotgun. So I knew that was good news. So I'm like, all right, like that's a hell of a shot. Like we're in good shape here. And so, but now I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? Because now it's like it was probably about 2:30 somewhere around there. And I'm like, all right, my truck is a mile away. I'm not even joking. And so I'm like, I got to go get my truck. Like that'll give me time. I know I put a little flag or something in my backpack down where I knew where the last time I saw the blood trail, I didn't want to go too far from the blood trail. And so I pack out. And like I said, it's a mile and it's a long way to even start to go down this strip mine area. I go get my truck and I'm like, all right, I'll go get it as close as I can to this area, which wasn't like when it was all said and done, it was probably about 1/2 to 3/4 mile from my truck to the deer. And so I'm down there, and by the way, here's the other ticker on that. At this time, cell phones were just coming out. That when now everybody's got one, wasn't a smartphone, and cell reception was crap. So that's just a layer. We'll come back to that. And so I do all that, and I just get my backpack with some rubber gloves, and I think I had a rope and my knife. Everything it's a long way. And so I track back, get to where I
what time is it then?
It's got to be getting close. It was a good hour and a half, so it's about 4:30. Okay. So we're about 45 minutes till it starts getting dark, and I was fine with that. 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour. And so I'm like, all right. I get up there, and I'm looking around. The blood trail is just easy to follow. It wasn't even close. It was just like there was a dead blood trail. And I get up there, and I'm like, I look, and I'm like, oh, there it is. And I get probably 30 yards away, and it gets up. And it's like, it's still got the arrow in it. And I'm like, oh, and it starts like, it's not real stable. And it's like, and again, now all that rush comes back, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, and I had heard stories of people who like, go knife them. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. No. Like, I'm not feeling that. Like, that was not in my tool bag at that time. But what was like, all right. So I kind of get low and go away, and I watched it walk another 20, 30 feet and drop it, laid back down. And so that was good news. That was a good sight. So I'm like, all right, I've hit it pretty good. I know I have. It's just going to take some time. But it's about to get dark. So I'm going back to get the crossbow. I'm going to put another bolt and I'm going to get it. So then I walk all the way back down to the truck, walk all the way back up. Now it's dark. And now I get my flashlight. Now I'm a little creeped out, to be honest with you. Like I'm a manly man, but there's nobody, not a soul. Walt's long gone. Like it's like so. Anyway, I'm like I get up there and now it's dead, which is the good news. And it was a pretty big deer, by the way. And so I field dress it, and I start dragging this thing. And now it's nighttime. There's coyotes, a lot of coyotes where we were. And anybody that has experienced coyotes, they're loud and they kind of creep you out, especially in the night. And so, but I'm like, all right. And then I get to the point where many of us have killed white-tailed deer. You're probably, I don't know, 100 yards into this drag, and you're now like huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
I don't have a sled like you. I need to get one of those.
Yeah, those are amazing. The deer sled.
And so now I make it, and then I'm like, all right. At this time, this was a lot of like it's probably 15, 20 years ago. Actually, it's probably 20 years ago. And so now you get to that point where you're dragging it 5 feet, and you're just like, all right, if I can just get 5 more feet, if I can just get 5 more feet. Then finally, I did get it to my truck, by the way, because like nobody's gonna stop me. I'm gonna get this thing. But then at my truck, it was another battle.
Yeah.
Like there was no easy way to get that thing in the truck.
Yeah. I've had that too.
Like it was big. The only thing I think that saved me on that was the antlers, and I eventually have to I found a way to tie something to the back, like those little holes in your truck. I tied the rope there, and I would pull, and I had a way to cinch it. But it took me a while to figure that out. Like I was trying to manhandle it for the first 20 minutes. By this time, my lungs feel like I'm gonna die already, and now I'm in the boat, dude. It's 7, 8 o'clock at night by the time I get all of this. And so we'll wrap this story up. I'm trying to call my wife because she's probably freaking the flip out. And she was, because she thought I would be home. Like I was planning on leaving at 1 3-hour trip, and I'd be home by dark. What's the whole plan? Because she knew Walt was leaving early. And so I'm like, all right, I gotta get to that gas station. And I think there's reception once I get into Caldwell. And so I get into the gas station, and actually back then you used to have to check.
Yep.
And so I'm checking this deer, dude, and I'm not even kidding you. I go to get in my truck, and I lock the keys in it. And I'm like, what the crap, man? Like this deer is like, what's going on? And so it's one of those things where it's like, it wasn't, the planning side of this trip was not great. And that's where I would caution hunters is like, have some sort of a plan. And so by the time I did call my wife, she was flipping out, man. And I'm still excited because it's my first big buck, and nothing's stopping me.
Did you call a locksmith?
Yeah, I think I was able to get a hold of her because now my phone, I think I had a cell phone. I don't remember, but I think we had AAA at the time, or my dad did. I didn't. I was able to use my dad's. So they came and they unlocked my truck. And not even kidding you, dude. When I went to pick that deer up, it was almost like that deer had my number. Like he was not happy I shot him in the neck. When I dropped it off at Sunset Meats in Pickle, Ohio, I went to go get the meat, and I go inside and I come back out, and that's what I did.
You did it again. You locked your keys in the truck.
I locked my keys in my truck.
Again. Man.
But
decent deer.
He's on the wall.
Yeah.
He's got a story.
Yeah. And
he's my first big archery kill.
So I got two. And the first one isn't going to be as long as the second. So same thing. Like I had shot some spikes. I think actually the biggest deer I shot was probably a little bit bigger than a button buck. So a tiny spike. So I think I claimed that as a doe. And that's when I was 18. And so when I joined the military, I got stationed in Utah, which is hunting mecca. And so I started hanging out with some hunters out there when I was in the Air Force. And I bought a 30-06. Out there, it's all rifle. I mean, you can hunt archery, but like your best bet, you're going to be covering ground with rifle. So I bought a 30-06, a Savage 30-06, and went out to public land. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth on public land, BLM land, because it's amazing. It's a blessing from God. So went out there, and I'm going up. I go up. I park in a parking area, which is like off of kind of like a curvy road. It's a scenic drive. A lot of people just drive it. So I park in that parking area, and I go up the mountain, down, and then go up, and I'm just right on the other side of that second ridge, and I'm looking out, and this is like the first clearing that I get to, and all of a sudden I see this buck, and everybody said, like, out there, like, from me first time mule deer hunting, this is when mule deer were not as abundant as they are now. They're like, if you see one, shoot it. And I had bought an over-the-counter buck tag, because back then you had, buck tags for certain areas, and then like controlled hunts and what lottery system, and then you had doe tags. You had to get a lottery system for. Otherwise, you had to buy a doe tag for a specific area. So I bought an over-the-counter buck tag, and they're pretty serious about, like, if you shoot a doe, you're gonna get thrown in jail. But anyways, so it's first clearing, and I see a deer, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I had a pretty good scope, and so I put the scope on it, and I see the antlers. I like quadruple check. I was like, antlers, yep, antlers. It's about 250 yards away, and I let it rip, and this sucker takes off like a shot of lightning, and it went right into some bushes, and I was like, that was, easy. And so everybody said this is gonna be hard, and so I had been hunting for a good month before I even saw one.
Oh, wow.
So and I had the good binoculars and everything. So I go down, I find it, it's kicking, and where it was, like, had ran into the bushes, the sagebrush, I couldn't see its antlers, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a freaking doe. I was like, how did I shoot a doe? And so I shoot it, and then I pull it out, and it was buck, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. And so, like, now, like, what are you gonna do? You're a mile and a half up and down up,
oh my God,
in the middle of nowhere, and so I was like, well, I guess I'll just leave all my gear here, because I had a big pack, and I had my binoculars, my rifle, and now I got this deer I'm going to drag out. And so I had, back then, they were like, don't gut them, because you have mountain lions, coyotes, big animals in Utah. And so I was like, I'll just drag it out then and gut it at my truck. And so I drag it down, which is the easy part, and then going back up, which is the hard part, and I get all the way at the top. All I gotta do is go down to my truck, and I hear voices coming out. Now, the whole time I'm dragging this thing, I'm singing, because I want to keep all the animals away from me. And so I hear voices, and my friends saw my truck at the parking area, and so they just started walking the path, because they figured I shot something. And so they take the deer down. I had left all my gear where I shot it, so I go back, get my gear, go back to my truck. They had already gutted it for me and everything. So yeah, and so that was the first actual buck, and I have it on my wall in my man cave. And then Utah was just amazing. I went elk hunting, never shot an elk, but I went elk hunting. Went on the late season doe hunt, which was a controlled hunt, and it's a really cool experience. Utah in general. Shot my first buffalo there. It's an amazing thing too. So, but you want to tell a story about I saw you looked up mountain lion.
So mountain lion.
Yeah.
What's awesome about that is it's a little side note. We were watching a baseball game the other night. It was a college baseball game. My son, he's a college baseball player. Anyway, the nickname of this team was Catamounts. You ever heard of Catamount? It's another word for mountain lion, because I'm thinking, it was actually it was Western Carolina, and like I was thinking, it's Catamount, like something to do with the mountains, hills. Mm-hmm. No, it's an actual, like, in the New England area of our country, and the eastern side they call them. It's Catamount. It's another word for a mountain lion.
I would never know.
I would have never known.
No.
But I do know. Back to your thing, I've been out in Colorado hunting, and those things will kill you.
Yeah, that's why I was singing loudly. Yeah. So, so I came back here to Ohio after I got out of the military and started bow hunting. And I started using a Browning Shadow, which is an old school compound bow. I think I got it secondhand by one of my uncles, my Uncle Harper. And he was like, hey, check this out. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy it from you. And so I didn't even start out crossbow hunting. Started out compound.
Dang, okay.
And this sucker was not as cool as it is now. Like the let off was not, it was like a 35% let off, not like an 85%. And so it was like real, like you couldn't hold it for very long before you had to release that sucker. So I found public land, just a real small plot of it in the middle of nowhere in a county that I'm not going to even tell because I don't want anybody to find it. I don't hunt it anymore, but so I found this little plot of land literally right around the corner from where I grew up. And so it was gifted to the county and the state and everything by someone who lived in Alaska.
I know.
And so
I know where this.
So I found.
I don't know exactly where it's at.
Yeah,
but I know.
Yeah. So it's a tiny little chunk. So I start hunting it. You have to go through public or private to get to it. So I know everybody there because I grew up there.
You have permission, people.
Yep. So I get permission. So I have a climber, and I left it at the bottom of a tree the night before. And the next morning, I go up to this climber. I climb the climber, and I see a buck, big old 9-pointer, and he's coming right towards me. We're in rut, and like I was grunting him, like I could hear him grunting, same kind of scenario. And he turns broadside 20 yards away, and I release that arrow, and it goes. I mean, he does the kick and everything, and then he runs right into this high grass, and I was like, "Oh, he's dead. Obviously, he's dead." So I climb down. I go back to my truck, which was not too far away, but I put my bow in there and everything. I'm gonna go look for the blood trail. I'm a pretty good blood tracker. Like I can find blood, and as soon as I find it, as long as it's a decent blood, I'll find the deer. And so I'm looking all around, nothing, not a speck. And so I finally found a footprint, and I was like, well, the footprint's going that way, so I'm just gonna go that way. And like after like an hour or two of searching, I found the buck right in the middle of all this tall grass. And so same thing, I'm here in the middle of nowhere. And so I had a cell phone. I call my dad. I call all my, like anybody who I know. And my dad was like, I can't help you. Nobody can help me. And I even called my little brother, who was like 12 at the time. And I was like, nobody could help me. And so I was like, all right, just me. So I did it one step at a time and dragged it all the way to my truck. And once I got to my truck, that's when the battle started. So what I ended up doing was sticking my heels in between the tailgate and the bed and holding on and just falling back. After a good hour of trying, so it's dark now here, and that's how I got his legs up there. And once I got his front legs up there, and then I kind of like held the antler down and grabbed his legs and did it again. I just fell backwards until his like midsection. Now he's equally weighted, and so then I grabbed down and I grabbed as far as I could go, and I grabbed like the flappy after you got him. Like right here, and I grabbed that, and I just fell back just enough to get like his rear legs off the ground. And then once I got that, I jumped out of the truck and pushed him in. But it was.
That's the thing that's not really talked about a lot.
No,
it's like people like now that I know what I know.
Yeah.
Like in the future.
Oh, the deer sled is and we just got the deer sled like a few years ago. So before that, it was like me and my son.
I would quarter the thing out now with my experience of. Like we've butchered enough.
Yeah, we have, but
I wouldn't. I'm just saying, the deer sled is the way to go.
Oh yeah.
But if I didn't have the deer sled and I went through that again, that's like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Like first off, I'm at my age now. I think I would pull something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, now for a smaller deer, a button buck, a little doe.
Yeah. Those no problem. But
no problem.
You get a deer that's over 180 pounds, like that's man size.
And it's like, and by the time you're dragged, they're all stiff. you know.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So like it was just, but that was my first big buck. Huge.
I would tie in what we've talked about today, because we're talking about what Camp Honor is about, and you know, a big part of Camp Honor. One of the last episodes we talked about God, right? This one, I would say the outdoors, meaning like when we're talking about Rob and his stoicism and being a man who, like, I would say Rob, you know, you'll probably watch this and listen to it, and you can hit me up later if I'm way off base here.
We got his buck European mounted, by the way, for him.
Oh yeah.
And so he got his buck, that big buck memory. He's got it.
But I would say that he doesn't ask a lot of questions, and meaning that. And again, I'm not like, I don't want to read into Rob. Like, Rob is Rob. I love Rob, but I would say from this experience, took another level of manhood, like to where it's like a huge accomplishment. Like, and that's where it's like the outdoors for me, as you're talking about your experience and me and mine, is I've done a lot of things in my life. Like I was in the Navy Seabees, which is one of the hardest working branches of the military, bar none.
Obviously.
Yes. And so I have been a firefighter for 27 years.
Oh, speaking of hard working.
But what we're talking about, and my brother, we were on a hunt with my brother one time, and he killed this deer. It was like this dinosaur. It's huge. And at the time, he wasn't in the best shape. This is before he started doing any type of CrossFit. And we had to drag that thing, like, and inside I'm dying, but you know, it's the brother code. It's like, he didn't have to tell me, I could hear it. And I'm like, dude, you're out of shape. And then I would be like, all right, good. And he's like, and I'm like, dude, come on. But he's told this story from the pulpit, my brother's preacher, pastor, that was one of the moments in his life. He's like, I've got to make a change. I got to make a life change. So all to say, back to full circle, this whole podcast, when you hunt and you get into the outdoors, you have to figure things out.
Yeah.
And by doing this, it makes that bounty so much better. The end result of, like, where people go to the grocery store and I got my meat, it's $5 a pound, or like, this steak doesn't look so good. It's like, you have no appreciation. Like, I made some deer jerky here recently for my son. He loves it. And it's like, as I'm unpackaging it, I'm smelling the blood, and it's like, you know, gotta let that thing drain and like get it really clean. But this, back to the outdoors component of Camp Honor, is, oh my gosh, like it's hard to explain, but it's like those levels of your first deer, your first buck, your first experience, and then when you've experienced that with your son, and then we get to experience this, it's like this growing of what God's designed for us. And that's why the outdoors is such a big component, because it teaches you that you can do it. Like, a lot of people are like, I couldn't do that. You don't have an option.
Yeah. And once you do something extremely hard one time, you're like, oh, I've done that before.
Exactly.
I've done it before.
You've walked in the Utah dark night.
Yeah.
Where there were catamounts around you, by the way.
Yeah. And porcupines.
People are like, what catamounts? We just talked about that. Catamounts, mountain lion. They were around you.
And porcupines. Porcupines were huge. Like, I was kind of more afraid of them because they're big. They're very large porcupines out there.
Oh my God.
They're like the size of a dog. Not your dog, but like a bigger dog. You know, like, they're big.
He's dogging my dog. So, I mean, would you agree? Like, I think that's the point of this episode with Rob and, you know, his wife, and he's shared this, and they've shared that there was a definite change in him.
Yeah.
And now he has this big desire to continue to be able to go into the outdoors, because, and to your point, you can find partials of land. Once it's in you, you will find a way to do it. You will find a way. And, you know, because you are what you're where you spend your money.
Yeah.
You become, like, if it's that important to you, you will find a way.
And that almost shows me how dedicated you are. If I find somebody who says, you know, I hunt, but I lost my hunting land, you know, 6 years ago, well, you don't hunt. Yeah. Like if you haven't found, there's public land, and there was a time when I was hunting some property and it got clear cut. They went through and did a whole clear cut into the woods, and I was out property. There was nothing to hunt there. It was literally just branches, and so deer couldn't even get through there. And so I went to C.J. Brown Lake during gun season, and it was like literally a pumpkin patch. But you know what? I did it. I went because I ain't eating that tag. And so, yeah, I went out on public land. Now that I know about Wayne National, like I would just go to Wayne National in Ohio.
And there's fishing, duck hunting, bird hunting.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to figure it out. And that's what makes you the resilient side of, like, you don't have to be this person who has served your country and faces PTSD and now you're just stuck this way.
Yeah.
No, it's like when I shot that deer, the one that we told the story, I'm like, oh my God, like now what? Mm-hmm. Like now is where the work starts. Now it's like in my mind, like there's nobody here to help me. Mm-hmm. Like there's nobody. I can't call anybody. There's no landowners. There's nothing. It's me. I've got to figure this out. And then when I went up there and the deer wasn't dead, I'm like, it's a whole nother layer. I got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Like there's nobody. My dad, I can't like, hey Dad, I'm like, what would you do in this situation? No, it's like, Matt, you're there. You got to figure it out, and you're not leaving without it.
Yeah. And yeah, when I shot mine and couldn't find it, that was a whole nother problem. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I know I shot it. I know I got a great shot. But yeah,
I've prayed in those situations. I had one time where I heard a crash and I couldn't find it. And so, but hey, so we've hit the God side on one of our previous episodes. Now we've hit the outdoor side of like, it will give you new levels of being a man and somebody who can figure it out.
Yeah.
Not to knock anybody, but I heard recently this guy was talking about he got a flat tire and he's waiting on somebody to come and like AAA to change it. And I'm like, you didn't have a spare? Well, I had a spare. No jack? I think I had a jack. Sorry, but I would change that myself.
Yeah.
Because, well, man,
yeah,
I would figure it out. There's some things like I just can't figure out, but I'm going to try to figure it out. And hunting is one of those ones. And you guys watching, you see it for yourself. The before interview and then the after interview with Robert Mirando.
Yeah.
And you'll see a change because he figured it out.
Yeah.
And we made him field dress that deer.
Yeah.
He didn't enjoy it.
No.
He might have enjoyed it, but he had a physiological response to it.
Yeah.
So
some people do. So that was episode number 4.
So we'll just end this with saying that we're so thankful for God and his way to bless us to be able to go into the outdoors.
Absolutely.
To your point, like you talk about the Bureau of Land Management, BLM land out in Utah. We're in Ohio, and there is such a diverse nature of Ohio. We're in Miami County. You go to Mohican State Forest, it's like, holy moly, this is Ohio. You go down to where our property is, and you hit Chillicothe, and you start to see the rolling hills, and you're like, we are blessed if you're even, I bet you wherever you're at listening or watching this, you are blessed and you have access to do what we're talking about. You don't need us, but we're available if you got questions, and we'll share anything that we have.
Yep.
So thank you. And we just say, God, thank you for what you do and all of us. And we just hope that more men like Nick and I can become better men, stronger men that can figure it out. We don't need a lot of other things, that you provided the nature and us to have dominion of it.
Amen.
All right. We'll see you later.